Hey guys, Dane here. I want to show you how I actually run my whole business. And we're going to talk about list training today. So before I get into this though, I want to show you how this was born. And if I pop over here to my capital partners, so this is actually the system that I run and how I've actually raised, let's see how much it is now, let's call it just shy of $2.6 million down there in the bottom left-hand corner. And so this is how I run the whole thing and how I raise all the money. I started with a list. I just made tons and tons of names, narrowed them down, started talking to people, and I made a system. And the greens are all the people that I'm doing deals with. The yellows are people that are interested and I'm scheduling appointments with them. The oranges are people that I'm dripping on and keeping in contact with. And the reds are the ones who just didn't find a lot of value in what I was doing. So I just passed on them and it worked out with somebody else. But anyway, so as I scroll past here, these are all the deals that I've gotten money into in just the last year. And all these little green boxes are where I've got people's money in actual deals. So that's how this system was born right here. I was sitting back and I was like, oh my gosh, I should run my Renatus business like this as well, because it's worked for me in tracking and getting people to the right exposures and things like that. So I want to share with you the list training. And if I was doing this for me for the very first time again, and I'll show you what I currently do now that my list is full of people, but I would literally just start putting names in here. Okay? So just names and names and names and names and names of just a whole bunch of people. The goal is to get this to 200 all the way down to here, 200 names. Okay? And get that as quickly as you can. I mean, the idea is not to find people, 200 names of people that you're like, yes, 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 this is what these are all the good people in my life. No, this is just 200 names. Okay? Okay, now that we've got a list filled in here, and this is actually my real list from my own personal names, what we're going to do is start basically just narrowing down. So, I didn't put a full 200 here, but you guys will get the idea of how this is going to work. So the narrow down process looks like this. So the first thing that I'm going to do is narrow it down and say stuff like, all these are going to be 4s. And so I'm going to do 4.1, I'm going to do 4.2, 4.3, and 4. Let's do this. 2 more. 4.4 and 4.5. Okay, these are going to be the different types of things that I'm going to do to reach out to the people that I'm working with. So the first thing is just a quick phone call. And these are going to be for the people that I don't necessarily, I haven't really seen them in a long time. I don't know where they are. I don't know where they live. I don't know where they are in life, that kind of stuff. So we'll see where it goes. The next thing that I'll do is to Thursday. And then after that, it'll be something like having them come do a real deal. Let's call this a personal real deal tour. I just did one of these where I went to my high school reunion. It was my 10-year high school reunion. I met with all the people that I went to high school with and talked to people there, talked about real estate and what I was doing and stuff like that. And one of the people that I went to high school with, she was really, really excited about what I was doing, and so was her husband. And what we ended up doing was they were very interested, and so I played it the right way. Instead of just being like, yeah, come to this thing and come, I didn't want them to feel super sold. I wanted them to see tons and tons of value first. So I just set up a personal real deal tour where I walked them through. It wasn't even my deal. I walked them through somebody else's real estate deal and showed them what we were doing. I didn't talk price. I didn't talk Renatus. I didn't talk anything. I just showed them the deal and then said, hey, come to Thursday actually. If you want to know more about this and doing deals like this like I'm doing, then come to Thursday. And so they came down. So some people, that's going to be a little bit better, and you'll know what will be better for them. So another thing will be like lunch, for example. I'll invite somebody to lunch, and then I do actually have some people that both my wife and I know, so it'll be more of like an over for dinner type of a thing. So I'm going to go ahead and put these in bold real quick, and so that way when we sort them later on, I just know what I'm doing. The brain works like a computer. So if you just tell the brain what to do, then there's no question, and you can actually mitigate a lot of fear in reaching out to people by doing stuff like this. So anyway, let's go down the list. And first one here, Mark Hammond. I used to know Mark years and years ago. We were both customers of a company actually and I ended up working for the company later on, and so I got to know him. You know, he was a client, that kind of stuff. So we knew each other. Just, I mean, I barely know the guy. That was the only extent of me. You know, he would show up at this office of the company that I worked for every once in a while. So for the most part, I just know his name. Um, and I happen to know he's a contractor. I mean, really great guy. Has a family. He has kids, and so Mark and I started talking, and Mark's actually on my list for one of the things that I'll talk to in just a second. But anyway, so Mark, I know for a fact that he does not live near me, so he's going to be. Did I put video in here? I did not. Let's add one more. So let's do Thursday, and let's actually do video as well. And so that's going to be 4, 5, and 6. Okay. So I'm going to send Mark a video because I know he's out of town. Nelson, I went to school with Nelson. We went to college together. We took like a crazy QuickBooks class that was boring as ever, and he was one of the more social people in the room and had all the jokes and stuff like that, where I was crazy shy and just sat there and did my work. And he noticed that, and so he used to talk to me and be like, "Hey, you're really shy, and aren't you?" And so we became friends over time. For him, I actually have no idea what Nelson's up to. I haven't talked to him since college, years and years and years ago. And so for him, I'll just figure out what the heck he's up to. If he's local, if he's not, then it'll be either video Thursday or probably a personal Real Deal tour. I imagine it would be Thursday or video though for him, but we'll see where it goes. Ashley, let's see. For some reason, I can't really see myself talking to Ashley. Jed is actually my uncle. Jed, I know that he already invests in real estate, and he's done some real estate rentals for college type rentals. He is a general contractor, but he does live quite a ways away. So for him, I would probably say video most likely is going to be best for him. John Flores, I actually don't even remember who that is. So I may, might as well just figure it out. And so since I don't really know him, it'll probably just be, let's also invite him to Thursday, if he's local, if not video. Taylor's actually my high school best friend. If you've ever been to my follow-up, I talk about how I was crazy shy. I had one friend. Taylor's that friend. In fact, ever since I joined Renatus, Taylor has been on my mind, and I've been dying to share this with him and show him what I'm doing, because I guarantee he's gonna be super interested, but I've just been scared. So with Taylor, I'm actually gonna take him to lunch. I want to call him up and be like, dude, I haven't seen you in years. Let's go to lunch and catch up and just see what we're doing. Jeremy is my cousin. I have not seen Jeremy in years as well. But with Jeremy, the reason he stuck out to me was I've noticed on social media that he has posted a house for rent, and just a bedroom in a house for rent. And he's done it a couple of times, same house even, over the last couple of years. So I think he owns the house. I have no idea. But for him, I actually am going to say, you know what, let's go to lunch. And lunch with Jeremy. So Blaine, I used to roof with Blaine a long time ago. He ended up quitting right around the same time I did, actually. And he went and did other things, but I would actually be very curious to know what he thought about what I'm doing now. So for Blaine, I'd probably say get him to a Thursday. I have a feeling that might be the best atmosphere for him, or maybe the Real Deal personal tour, something like that. In fact, you know what? I may actually just switch that now, because I feel like that'd be better. Brian, definitely Thursday. He's a social guy. He loves that social aspect. I know Brian from several years ago, or actually probably only a couple of years ago, and every time I've talked to him, we've talked about something to do with real estate, and he knows what I'm doing, but I really need to get him down to a meeting. David, oh man, David's my old attorney, actually. He did some litigation stuff for me years ago from some previous company. Anyway, long story. With David, I would almost say a social thing, and the way I'll pitch that is, hey, have you ever considered getting involved in real estate? Cool. As an attorney, do you ever serve real estate investors? And I think I'd be really interested to know what you think about what I've been building. So come down on Thursday. Denton, I don't really know this guy very well either. He was actually a customer of a company that I also worked for. I imagine he might actually know Mark, maybe, but or maybe know of each other. I don't know. But anyway, Denton, what I know of him is that he was actually a guy who had money. He ran a successful company. And so with him, I know he's out of town though, so I'm going to say, let's see, what was my video? 4.3. Doug Kersley. This guy, when I was a younger kid growing up, this guy was like a mentor to me. He's a very well-to-do business owner up in Davis County. And I mean, just a solid guy. For him, I imagine something like lunch is probably going to be my best bet because he's kind of a high roller. Let's see, which one's my lunch? Yeah, 4.5. So Jim, actually can't even remember who Jim is. If you've ever been to my follow-up and you've heard me talk about the company I was working for when I got laid off, well, I don't know if I should say laid off. I was actually, the company went bankrupt, so they didn't really have a choice. But Jeff worked with me at that company, and he was also a very techie, shy kind of a personality, very good with numbers and stuff like that. So with him, I don't know if Thursday is going to work. I know he's local, at least he was back, a couple of years ago when all that went down and we got laid off. So I have no idea what he's doing now, but I am going to dare say Thursday is not going to be the best thing for him, just because of his nature. I don't know how well he would react to being in a group of lots and lots of people where he's more of a programmer, techie kind of a guy. So for him, I would almost say like a personal real deal tour, or maybe even a video. But with the techie kind of guys, you kind of want to get them out of their comfort zone, get them out of the house. So I'd say either personal real deal tour, maybe lunch, something like that. Nancy, she was also a customer of that company that I got laid off on. I have no idea what she's doing, where she is, or anything in her life. But I got to know her, and she really respected me because I helped her a lot in what I was doing. So same thing with her, though. I'm not sure if she would enjoy the big, hoorah aspect of it. Lydia, I'm not sure about her. I don't feel ready with her right now. Philip, he was also a customer of that company. I bet you that he would come to a Thursday. Actually, he'd be a very good candidate to come to a live meeting like that. He actually already invests in real estate. I remember when I was younger, years ago, and he would talk about how he was buying these fourplexes and eightplexes, and he would manage them himself. And he talked about the frustrations of those properties. So he'd probably be a great one to come down. Robert, he's out of town, not local, so definitely video for him. The way I know Robert is I mean, a lot of you guys know I grew up in Morgan, Utah. Morgan, right? So he was my woodshop teacher back when I was in like the 8th grade, and Morgan's such a small town that, I mean, everybody knows everybody. And so as I got older, through high school and after my mission, I got to know him a little bit better. I mean, great guy. I bet you that he would be interested in something like this, or, I mean, just intrigued with what I've been doing. Gary, I don't even remember who that is. Oh, Steve. Steve has sold me life insurance for the past like 2 years, I think it is. And I just found out that he's no longer doing it. I have no idea what he's doing because there was an office that called me and said, hey, Steve is no longer doing the insurance, whatever. So now you're going to work with us. So I'm actually just going to call up Steve and see how he's doing. And he's not here local, so I'll probably just send him a video. Arnold is like a second cousin, twice removed or something like that. I know I don't know if I'd be ready for him. Gary, I'm going to have Gary and his wife over to my house for sure. I need to have Gary over. I used to work with Gary when I worked at the Apple Store. He knows my wife as well, and his wife knows my wife because she worked at the Apple Store as well. So kind of crazy. All 4 of us worked at Apple, so we need to have them over for dinner for sure. Let's see, Carlos. Oh, let me think. I'm gonna pass on him. Lynn, when my wife and I were newlyweds, Lynn Coulomb was in our religious group, and Lynn, he was such a nice guy. We got to know him and his wife really well, and it's kind of funny because all their kids were grown and gone, and we were like, I was like 23 and my wife was like 21 or something like that, and so, but it was kind of funny because we got to know them. Anyway, love that family. With them, I could see us either doing dinner, or since it's been so long, that might be kind of like, yeah, I haven't seen you in like 6 years, so come over for dinner. Maybe something like I take him to lunch, or let's see, even like a personal real deal tour. But you know what? I'm gonna shoot for something like lunch. Let's see, what's lunch? 4.5. Cool. Oh, you know what? Dinner is 4.6. So let's change that. 4.6 for Gary. and his wife, Matt. You know, I bet he would be a local. Matt Bruce was also a member of that religious group that I was a part of when we were newlyweds. Um, Great guy as well, and he's a salesman. So, I mean, typically, I mean, that's a good candidate for something like this to come and do real estate. Mike, same thing with him. I He knows Matt and Lynn both, and yeah, so I think all of those guys, or those two guys, probably something like that, because I wasn't as close to them. Let's see, Roger, same thing with him. He was actually, I got to know him a little bit when I was living in my uncle's basement. If you've ever been to my Friday follow-up, I talk about that. So he knew me when I was there, and we moved out, you know, bought our house and got, you know, started having all the success and stuff like that. So I know he's a very busy guy, very successful. So I'm not sure if Thursday's going to be the best thing. I'd almost say, let's see, what's my Real Deal tour? Personal Real Deal tour, yeah. I would definitely say let's get him to a Real Deal tour. Peter, ooh, if you've ever, same thing, if you've ever been to my follow-up, I talk about how I was way too shy to even talk to my wife when I had the hots for her when I worked at Apple. Peter and I worked at Apple together. He actually transferred from my wife's division over to my division, and you know, so we had to get to know each other and became friends. And Peter is the one, you know, I talk about how I was too scared to talk to my wife, sorry, Paige, the girl, the hot girl. And so I talked to Peter. I was like, hey, you know, she's super hot. Do you know her? He's like, yeah, I used to work with her and when I was in her division and stuff like that. So he told her that I had the hots for her. And then months later, that's when Paige finally walked up to me, my now wife, and was like, do you want my number? Like, you know, what the heck? I heard, you know, somebody told me, you know, anyway, you guys get it. And then, you know, I married her. So Peter is that guy that introduced my wife and I essentially, or so, you know what, we need to have him and his wife, and I think they have 2 kids now. We need to have them over for dinner for sure. So now that I've got all of these together, what I'm going to do is sort from A to Z. And now I have my list of all the people that I know what I'm going to do and I'm going to reach out to. Okay. Now my brain works like a computer, and I mean, everybody's brains works like a computer. So I don't have to wonder what I'm going to do. I can write up a script for all of these different things that I'm going to do. In fact, I'm going to share my scripts with you guys on how I would invite all of these people. Okay. And so how this is going to work now is, here's my recommendation. Okay, I only work like 3, maybe 4 days a week now, and so what my goal is to obviously get these people to an intro, and we already talked about what type of intro it's going to be, and what we'll do then is, you know, move them down the list and get them a roadmap conversation and a money plan and put their order in. Okay, but let's say I jump on the phone with Nelson. In fact, let's actually use a real life. So, oh, sorry, I talked about my system. I work 4 days a week, and because I know these people, the success rate in getting people on board to work with us is so much higher. I barely know these people, but because they knew me previously or already knew my name, they are going to be much more likely to be like, oh my gosh, I should look into what Dane is doing. And so my goal with this list is 1 a day. I'm going to steal that. There's like a vitamin out there for a multivitamin that's named 1 a day. I'm going to tell you 1 a day. Seriously, that's all you need to do is get 1 of these people per day to commit to an intro. So today, what I did was I got Mark Hammond. So Mark Hammond, let's do 3. Mark Hammond was the guy that was a contractor. He moved down to St. George years and years ago, and I don't really know him that well, but I really like the guy. And so called him up, and we started talking. We started talking about real estate, and I was like, you know what? I'd actually be really curious to know what you think about what I'm doing. Let me send you this video. And so if I look at my calendar, I said, let me send you a video. Next week, I want to meet with you on Tuesday at 6 p.m. for 90 minutes, and we're going to talk about the video that I'm going to send you, okay? And he's like, great. So he's going to watch that by next Tuesday, and we're going to essentially get him the roadmap conversation at that point. So I just changed him to a 3 because he has showed interest, and he has not yet committed or not yet been to an event. But as soon as he watches that video, I'm going to go ahead and put November in here. Just because I'm lazy and I don't like doing like crazy intricate details, I want to do what I know I will do and just stay away from the things that I know that I'm not going to do. So I just put November in there because I'm not going to search the exact date that he went, and I know that he did that just because I'm lazy. So, and this one a day makes me over $150,000 a year in just Renatus commissions. Okay, so again, do what you'll do, forget what you won't. Just do the things that you know you'll do. Okay, so that's how I track it. And then once Mark and I sit down next Tuesday, I'll put November in there again, and then I'll take some notes on the outcome. And feelings of the meeting, essentially. Overall feeling of the meeting. Was he excited? Did I get him on board? Whatever. Okay. And typically, if he's looking for what I have already, and I help him see that, then I'm not only we're going to lay out that roadmap, we're also going to set up the money plan of how we're going to pay for Renatus, and we're going to put his order in. Okay, so next Tuesday, I could be putting November in here on all 3 of these. Okay, and then once he actually comes, then I'm going to change this to and actually you can sort this again. So sort from A to Z. Now Mark is the closest person that I have to getting me paid. Okay, next, if Mark watches, I'm going to put him as a 2, and that way, now I know he's been to a meeting. Once he turns on the green, that's when you turn on the green. Okay, look at all these other things over here off to the right. I've got all these different deals, and tracking when I send them to these people. So once this turns green, it's time for you to turn green on what I call the 48-hour rule. You need to be communicating with Mark every 48 hours. Conversation starters, or just letting him know that you exist. I don't care if he doesn't respond, because once he also has had his first meeting, we're always going to abam and schedule the next meeting. If you have the roadmap conversation with them, and they don't put their, they're not like, yes, let's do this. Let's get a money plan together of how we're going to pay for this, and let's put the order in. Then all we're doing is circling back to the next roadmap, something, okay, like an onboarding or a group follow-up, or a follow-up video, or whatever it is. Okay, we just keep on scheduling the next meeting that they are coming to or doing live. Okay, and so we do that over and over again. And in between, make sure we do this every 48 hours. We're sending them a deal. Okay, so, and these deals, a lot of these aren't even my deals, but I like to just send them and say, hey, here's a deal that a student is doing. So this Coleman deal, I've been sending this deal like all day today. And in fact, here, let's actually bump over to my real list that I'm actually working right now. My list of opportunity. Okay, so this Coleman deal right here, I sent that out to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people today, and shared with them a little bit about the deal and what we're doing, and just got excited and say, yeah, our group is doing all these deals, and here's one of our new students, this is his first deal he's ever had under contract ever. Okay, we haven't even done this deal. This is just a deal under contract, and I'm sending him the cool little tips and tricks and things that we're doing with Nate, that's been a part of our group for just a little while, and he's working hard. Okay, so I'll send him that kind of stuff, and so you can see what we're doing. So Downington is another one that I'm still in the negotiation phase, so I'm still analyzing. I don't want to send that one out yet, but as soon as that one's ready to go, then you better believe I'm going to send this to all these different people as well. And the nice thing is you can always add a new tab and be like, the next deal. So add a new deal right here, or maybe you add an exposure like the onboarding. Oh, I already have the onboarding class right there to the left of it. Okay, and whatever it is, exposures. Okay, as soon as it turns green on the list where they've actually been to some event, 48-hour rule. Let them know that you exist. Okay, and continue. Just put a bug in their ear and share. All you have to do is share successes. Hey, look at this deal. Hey, look at this cool thing. Hey, look at what I just learned. Hey, look what I just found out. I was actually watching my class, and I just learned this topic of what these guys are doing. And I went down and talked to somebody on a Thursday night and met a guy who's doing this. And if you come next Thursday night, I'm going to introduce you to him. Okay, just stuff like that. Just little touches here and there every 48 hours. And then going back to the list, because now we're working on all these green people where every 48 hours they get an exposure, and all these people down here, one a day. Just start adding them, because eventually you're going to get people down here where they're like, they just stop responding and they don't, whatever. And so we just start sending them, and you can still send them deals here and there and just try to get them reignited, but they just don't do anything. They don't want to schedule the next meeting with you live, and so on and so forth. So just move them on down next, right? Find somebody else. If you're doing, back to that one a day thing, if you're doing cold market stuff, this still works. Just you're just gonna have to quadruple your efforts. Instead of doing to my one a day of this to make 150,000 a year, you may have to do like 4 a day and have 16 people commit. Okay, so when I say 1 a day, I'm saying one person has committed. So I might have to call 4 or 5 people to get them to a 3 to commit to some first exposure. But if you're doing cold market, then I'd quadruple that. 16 people a week committed to coming to an intro first exposure video, live event, you name it. Okay. Excuse me. And that's basically how it works. I've got all these people that I'm constantly meeting with and sending them stuff and oops, I'm not sure what I did there. Let's back that up. And okay. Excuse me. Okay. So one thing that I want to talk about really quick is if you do this and you create this, if you want to create your own system inside of my system, I mean, great, do whatever you will do. And if you do that and maybe you just mimic exactly what I'm doing, here's what's going to start happening to you. So if you start doing this, you will make all the money that you know what to do with. Okay? All the money that you know what to do with. And here's what I mean by that, to take that just a little bit deeper, is my wife and I have our budget of everything that we need every single month just for bills, to put food on the table. Okay? Anything above that, we call this, oh my gosh, surplus. That's our word for it. What are we going to do with our surplus? Okay, so knowing what you will do with your surplus, we actually have this in our very kitchen. We have it written down in our own handwriting of what we are going to do with surplus money. So when I say that you'll have all the money that you know what to do with, it's because you know what you're going to do with it when surplus money comes in, above and beyond your bills. Okay, so write this down. Have it written somewhere in your handwriting. Do not put this on your notes app or your reminders app. No, handwritten. This is what you know, what you will do with your surplus money. Okay? And it doesn't have to be, materialistic things. It could be anything. So, I mean, yeah, my wife and I had our dream home on here, which happened to be our first home because we're in our 20s. We had our dream cars on here, and we were able to get those with this is what we knew we were going to do with surplus money above and beyond our bills. But we also have, charitable things in here. So one of the things that's on our list right now that's in our kitchen, handwritten on our little whiteboard, is charitable stuff. And so what we're doing is and this is two things. It's not only what you want, but also how much money. So this winter, these are some of the ideas that we've been talking about. And here's the thing. When you have it detailed like this, again, the brain is a computer. When you have it detailed like this, that's when money starts showing up, because you know what you're going to do with that money. So the ideas that we have with is going into like Walmart and just being like, hey, how many layovers do you guys have of people waiting to make sure they have enough money so that they can come back and pay for Christmas for their kids? Can we actually take $5,000 and pay off all of those layovers and just get rid of all of those things? Or maybe going into the school and saying, hey, who's behind on school lunches? Can we just like pay off all these kids' school lunches? Or doing like a secret Santa for like, 20 families or something like, whatever that is. Okay, so we have specifics. Money, how much money, where's the surplus money going to go, and what's it going to do, and stuff starts showing up in our life because we know what we're going to do with that money. And you work that system and do that every day, and just do what you will do, forget what you won't, do what you will do, and you will have all the money that you know what to do with, and money will show up. All right, guys. That's as long as I ought to make this thing. So stay classy. Reach out to me if you have any extra questions and if you need help with your list. All right. Love you all. Talk to you soon. Bye.